I'll just trade clothing for our children. They just leave places. It sounds like our kids leave places naked, but they were both swimming both times.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's August. We're continuing some church conversations, and Emily's going to be rounding out for us here in a little bit. To begin, I was going to read you guys something. Let's see here. From our man Thomas Merton, and I'll read this and I'm going to play you guys a song. This is from New Seeds of Contemplation. Merton says, every moment and every event of every man's life on earth plants something in his soul. For just as the wind carries thousands of winged seeds, so each moment brings with it germs of spiritual vitality that come to rest imperceptibly in the minds and the wills of men. Most of these unnumbered seeds perish and are lost because men are not prepared to receive them. Remember we talked about that, I don't remember, a couple weeks ago. Like that which is received in the manner of the receiver. So it's less dependent on the seed, and it's more about how we receive these things. Most of these unnumbered seeds perish and are lost because men are not prepared to receive them. For such seeds as these cannot spring up anywhere except in the good soil of freedom, spontaneity, and love. Every moment and every event of every man's life on earth plants something in his soul. It's like there's always receiving, actually, of God. Like the earliest accounts of Christian history talk about God as relationship. Like that's how they describe God, as a circle dance, perichoresis. And so like God is always in this communal giving. And so like when we talk about God, we're talking about this endless giving. And so when we talk about what it means to sit around this table and be people that follow Jesus and try to lean in, like it's always open-handed. Just I'm going to try to receive. And we sang that song, I guess, last week, or we listened to that song about making me good ground. Like I just want to be good ground. I just want to receive whatever that means and whatever that is. And so I pray that for myself, and I pray that for you guys. And so I'm going to play a song for you guys. You guys want to follow along. It's Chris Renzema. I have no idea. Blessed are those who follow you. So I'm going to play it for us, and then we can name the good.
Blessed are the poor, theirs is the kingdom. And blessed are those who mourn, you're right there beside them. And blessed are the meek, the earth is theirs. And blessed are those who sleep, for you will find them here. You'll find them here. Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling worn? While the table set with the meek and the poor. Are you feeling weary? You want to be born? Just keep on pressing through. Jesus, blessed are those who follow you. Blessed are the kind, kindness they will be shown. Blessed are the pure in heart, by you they will be known. And blessed are the peaceful, you call them your child. Blessed are their hard pressed, like diamonds they will shine. They will shine. Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling worn? While the table set with the meek and the poor. Are you feeling weary? You wanna be reborn? We'll just keep on pressing through. 'Cause Jesus, blessed are those who follow you.
Let's take a second and breathe and pray, and then we can name the good together. God, we want to become the kind of people who can easily and naturally and routinely see you and trust you, even in the silence or the stillness or the times where your presence isn't overt and obvious. I pray that we become those kinds of people that can trust that. So God, we're here just as we are with what we have. We come to the table. We know the table's always set. As I pray, as we sit here and we see each other and we talk about you, and God, I pray that you give us sight. You help us remember. You open up our hearts, open up our hands. And God, if today is a day where we just need to show up and sit, then I pray we know that that's enough. So God, we take a second to breathe, to pause and not consume, not produce, and just exist. So God, we're yours. We pray that you meet us here. Praise, thanks your name. Amen. All right, y'all, we can name the good. I want to read you guys another quote from Merton real quick, and then we can name the good together. He said, "True joy on earth is to escape from the prison of our own false self and enter by love into union with the life who dwells and sings within the essence of every creature and in the core of our own souls. In his love, we possess all things and enjoy fruition of them, finding God in them all. And thus we go about in the world, everything we meet and everything we see and hear and touch, far from defiling, purifies us and plants in us something more of heaven." I thought it was beautiful. Everything that we meet and everything that we see actually plants something beautiful in us if we have the eyes to see. So, have we seen and tasted and experienced the good, the true, the beautiful this week?
So I'll try not to cry, but came out with the first one. It's been a hard summer for us. Like you said, it was August. It feels like May for us. And some days you just kind of keep going and it's okay. And then some days are especially hard. And Thursday was one of those days I just woke up. I knew the whole household was struggling, and you just go to work because you have to. And I'm bad to not listen to Christian music. I think just my past, so I'm just like, man, I just can't do it. But a song came on that really, really encouraged me. I was like, man, I'm gonna listen to this all the way to work. And I really the reason I'm sharing this now is because I thought in the moment, I'm gonna share this and name the good because it's so good. I just felt so sad and so pressed in on every side, but I felt the presence of the Lord. And at that moment when I was listening to that music, and it was just super encouraging, Emily sent me a text for our whole family with 4 more songs. And I was like, in the midst of a really hard moment, not only was he needing me, thank you, in music, he was using the body of Christ to remind me that you guys are there and you're also giving us things that we need when we need it. So my good was just that Jesus meets us where we are and the Holy Spirit is real and that he doesn't leave us even in the dark places, and he always provides, and that you guys are what you said you were. You're there for us even when things are not great. So really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And many of you have done that this week for us, and so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we love y'all.
Look at this too.
I've similarly, I can't ever say that word, seen in the same way. I have seen God show up. We are praying big prayers and expecting things to happen while Corey's situation and all this stuff. And it's been really frustrating because the calendar keeps ticking on and we're like, okay, today, now. And last week I was really, really discouraged. I think both of us were just like, we were past 50 jobs applied for, and it just feels really frustrating. But then there's like this weird hopefulness that's still there, and I want, like, the darkness in me wants to question the hope, and I keep over and over hearing the Spirit say, like, I'm the only one that gives hope. Like, the world does not give you hope, so like, don't question the hope. Like, I want to question it and think that I'm like mustering it up, and it's like, no, only God gives hope. So like, I can trust this. Like, I can't trust anything else, but I can trust this hope, and so I'm not going to like talk myself out of it. But we've been praying, of course, the whole time for Corey to have a job, and that's still not happening. And so I'm like, gosh, it's easy for me this week. I was like, God is just not answering our prayer, and like, why would he not want us to be able to pay our bills? Like, that should be on his heart. But instead, this week he did, like, multiple times in multiple very tangible ways still take care of us, like still come through. And it was just really good for me to see that, like, he has not answered yet the big prayer we're praying, but he is answering the prayer. Like, because ultimately, like, I'm not asking for a job, I'm asking for provision, and he is continually providing that. It's not through the ultimate way I want him to, but he is continually providing provision through all these small things that's happening. And so it's just really good for me to pull back and be able to see, like, okay, what I'm really asking God for is provision, and is to keep us, like, to just like keep us going and to give me a little bit of something to go on. And he's continually doing that. And so it's just really, really encouraging. And I had the same moment of just like, you are still here. You do see me. You do know what we need. And you're not, like, he's not over there like, oh shoot, I knew I was supposed to do something. Like, he's in it. And so it's just really, really good. And he's using people to do it, which I just think is the coolest part.
Great.
I'll add to that real quick. We got a pretty big, just like, gift from somebody anonymously on Friday night. So I've been analyzing the letter with our names written on it. So
Was anyone in here?
if there's anybody in here, thank you.
We will. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
it was big. There's like little things like that that just been little answered prayers. So I'm gonna figure it out. So I'm sending off the FBI. So watch yourself.
Next week is a lie detector test. We're gonna hook everyone up.
Watching everyone's handwriting, so.
We don't care about security at our house, so there's no cameras to know anything. So.
I need everyone to sign this card with mine and Emily's name.
That's
But thank you. But like I said, I'm basically been telling everyone that I know thank you. So.
Yeah.
You just gotta lean and be like, hey, thanks for the gift.
Guys, I got a gift on Friday night, you know. Then I got some random, not random church because we are somewhat connected to it, but a small little independent Baptist church sent some money into the school to help with the kids' tuition for the first couple of months, and they're like
And lunch
accounts
money.
and stuff, but, you know, it's like stuff like that. Which, like, do they know who they're giving it to? Like, but they do know. They still gave it, so
Oh.
it's like crazy.
They know, and they didn't just give it. They said that he is most deserving.
That's very cool.
Yeah, there's been a little thing like that that's happened the past week. So
That's sweet.
Kevin started his new job this week, and so that means that he's worked a lot, and he's had a day off. And so Monday he worked 4:30 a.m. and got home at 11:30 p.m. and was like just so exhausted. And like he's just been working really hard, and that's been great because like we've been waiting for this next thing. This was the next thing. But normally when his schedule changes, because he always has Sunday off always, and I don't do well with change, and I get really anxious. And I don't know what's going on, but I haven't been anxious at all, like not even a little bit. I wasn't anxious on Monday, like I didn't have any, like I went and did grocery shopping, and I went out like more days than I did this week, and that is not what happens when I get anxious because it's changed and he's gone all day. I get paralyzed and I don't go anywhere and I don't do anything. I would not have come to church this morning any other week, and so I'm just really thankful because that is not normal for me. But I keep telling him, he's like, "You still feeling good?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I am." He's like, "I think we swapped because now I'm stressed." But it's just been like good, and even this morning I was like, it's raining, like I just like getting her out as a whole thing by myself, but then it was like, no, like she loves to play and she will have so much fun, and like I love to see all the people, and I came and I wouldn't have done that, so I'm just glad that it's been
It's good.
I was like, my kids are
They're
so
having a blast.
loud. I'm so sorry.
But I think I understand what's going on here.
These are our friends, Rainy and Gage,
So
everyone.
Rainy Gage, it's good to be here. I guess we're in a tough place. It's been a really tough couple of years now. You guys don't know me, but just trust us. Like family stuff, church stuff, and there's been a lot of hard things that have happened. And yesterday was a really hard day for a lot of reasons, but if I really sit back and think about it, like, you know, if I plot the connection and the strength that like Brady and I's relationship has, like with the difficulties, like the total universe, and just like I'm super thankful that like God, you know, He doesn't like us to go through pain, but He's using these scenarios and He's testing us, and He's making us a lot stronger in these moments, and it's just really good. It's not fun, but
Yeah.
We're stronger and closer than we ever have been. Yeah, it's been good.
Glad you guys are here.
Thank you for everybody. It's been very welcoming so far.
Oh, cheers. I officiated a wedding last night, and it was one of those where like I just got connected to the couple randomly, and so I don't know anybody, and so I'm just like hanging out after the ceremony, and sipping some rosé because like what else are you supposed to do? So I'm just like standing awkwardly by myself with my rosé, and the father of the bride walks up to me, and like I shook his hand the other night at the rehearsal, and like that's about it. And we just started talking and just about random stuff. And somehow we started talking about faith, and I kid you not, his exact words, he's like, well, I'm somewhere between a believer and a doubter. And I was like, I was like, me too. I was like, let's talk. And it was so random, but like we had the most thoughtful conversation after that. And like, I have no idea why he walked up to me and why we started talking, but we had a great conversation. And so it was just like, it was a cool like snapshot moment of just like officiating the wedding was really cool, but also like I told him about Mosaic and what we're trying to be, and where I'm at too. It's like that's how I would describe myself. I'm somewhere in that range, and sometimes both at the same time. And it was just random because that's exactly how he said it, and so I felt this cool connection with him. And so yeah, it was a good moment. So anything else? All right, Emily, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, part 4 of church, rounding up.
Felt super cool this morning when I was like, I have handwritten notes in a notebook and in pencil. Like, we were just going real old school here. It's fine. I can't do this. Sorry. I'm gonna like fall backwards because I was like tucked underneath the table. Okay. So, Corey, I'm setting myself a timer this time, so I'm gonna be able to see how long I do this. I'm finishing off church or community, whatever. I don't know that we actually ever gave this a title, but community, finishing it off. And so I really like to make things like practical because I like to be able to put my hands to something or do it. And so this morning I'm combining that with one of the things, the way I love to do things the most, and that's Enneagram. So we're going to talk about Enneagram in the church today. And I'm just going to jump in. I don't have a cool little intro because Corey told me to stop doing them because I never could come up with one. And I was always so stressed about like, what's my intro? This is how the conversation went down. I was like always so stressed. I'm like, I don't know the intro. Like you always have these cool stories. And like, I listen to John Mark Comer a lot, and he always has these like random narratives about like this random story, and he then ties it in. And I'm like, where did you find that story? Like, and did you hear the story first, then come up with a message, or did you come up with the message and then somehow find this story? Like, where in the world did this happen? Because I can't do that. Like, I never can do it, and then I get so stressed because I'm like, I'm not a good communicator because I can't come up with a story. And so he's like, just don't have one. So that was my intro about how I'm not having an intro. And here's the message. So we are, I'm going to talk to you today about the Enneagram in church. And so before I get into that, I want to say, I know a lot of you in this room, I've talked about the Enneagram before here. So I'm just going to give a brief example or illustration about what Enneagram is and why I want to use it and why I like it. So the Enneagram is this really ancient, I don't know how old something has to be to become ancient, but it's like really old. A lot of people don't think it is because social media makes it seem like it's like super cool and new and hip, but it is like super old. And so basically they don't really know exactly where it's originally traced to, but it's like the Sufi people, I don't know, like the sand monks, the desert monks, are like where it all the way goes back to. And they used it in the form like for spiritual formation. So it was from the very origination was to be used to form other monks. Like, so it was verbally handed down and used in order to create a really like personalized plan of growth for members of the body. And so that's the way it's been used really solely until like just the 1960s. So for like from way back when, like the 1600s, all the way to the 1960s, that's the only way it was used. So it was not primarily known from anyone else. It was really only used within like religious orders, and it was only verbal. Like, so it was just more of like, here's you, here's me, and here, let's talk about a path. And so it wasn't until like 50s and 60s that it started to be the first book ever written about it came out like in the late 60s. So that like us having access to it is fairly recent. But the practice of using it is very, very old. So that's part of what Blake was saying last week of bringing old and new. This is a great way to do it. We're taking something very ancient and we're going to use it in a modern way. So the Enneagram is this idea that there are 9 ways to be normal. So it's not a personality thing. It's not, there's a lot of personality tests, and it's not necessarily about personality. It's just about how you move through life. So it's, so in that, the reason that I like it and it's really effective and what makes it a little bit different than a lot of the other personality things you can find out there, like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinders, or the one where it's like, are you a golden retriever, or, whatever. All of those that are still fine, is that there is a lot of complexity and layers to this, which is why social media is not the most effective way to share it. Because the cool part is that there's 9 ways to be normal, and those are all coming out of core fear and motivation. So every single person in this room makes decisions. They make different choices and all react differently, behave differently, all because of a core fear and a core motivation. And whether you acknowledge that or not, hundreds and hundreds of years has proven that that's pretty much true. But the reality in that is that these all look differently because we're not just our motivations and our fears. There's all these other things going on that affect all of those things. And so when I'm going over this today, I'm boiling it down to a sentence for each type. And so there might be things that you resonate with today, like, oh my gosh, you feel the way, if you don't know your Enneagram number, that's totally fine. This is still for you, because I am pretty confident that I'm going to read something today and you're going to feel really exposed. Like, I hope no one heard that. And that's a good way to know that you're on track. And so, because sometimes it feels like you're, someone's reading your mail. But at the end of the day, all of these are valuable for us to hear, even if it's not the one that most resonates with us. So if you don't know your Enneagram number, that's totally fine. If you want to know your Enneagram number, I would love to help you find that out. But the idea today, the way Enneagram is meant to work, is that you have your number. So it's 1 through 9, and those all mean different things. And it does multiple things. One, it helps you identify who you are. That's a really great resource of Enneagram, is that I can see my number, I'm 4, and I can learn things about myself that I probably knew, but couldn't maybe name or couldn't really put words to. It's those things that, like, I'm now 31 years old and I have habits that look different in different seasons, but I'm bumping up against the exact same problem over and over. Like, the problems I have now at 31 are the same problems I had at 13. They just look a little different, but it's the same crap. Like, I'm making the same mistakes over and over. I get myself into the same trouble over and over, right? We all have those things. Enneagram helps name that and understand why that is, because it's not because you're a failure. It's because that's your normal, and it is what it is. You're stuck with it. It's the thorn in the flesh, as Paul would say. But so Enneagram does a really great job of naming those things. It also does a really great job of naming the good parts, because we all have these beautiful strengths in us, and we all have these beautiful gifts that we're put here to offer to the world. And a lot of times, some of us are too good at seeing those. And then some of us are like, we can't see them if it was staring us right in the face, right? We will not acknowledge anything good in ourselves. And Enneagram helps bring words to those things. So it's a lot of power in your pocket. So it can help name. The other part of what it does, which is the part that we don't use it for often, but what it was originally created for, is a pathway to growth. And that's how we're going to use it today. Because while there is so much power in naming, we name the good, we kick us off this service every week with naming. There is so much power in that. If we only ever just name and never act, then we're only doing half of it, right? So as much as we want to name good, we also want to be creators of it, right? We want to join Christ in the work of being partnership in good. So I hope that all of us are never just leaving here and being like, yeah, I'm just a consumer of good, but they're also creating it. And that's what Enneagram wants to do as well. So, like, we don't want to just be able to name ourselves and be like, well, this is my lot in life. I'm just going to forever bump up against this. Yes, probably, but also there's power. Like it's that well that God wants us to tap into where we have tools and resources to grow and to be more Christ-like. Because ultimately Christ represents all 9 numbers. We can look through the gospel and we can watch his life and I can point to like, oh, this is him, because that's what we want to do. It's tapping into all the fullness of Christ. And so that is the Enneagram in very brief terms. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear you down and then I'm going to build you up. So if you were feeling good now, just wait. So I want to talk today about one of the ways I love to use the Enneagram is to highlight a temptation and then offer an invitation. And so that's what I'm going to do today. And so within the context of church. Now, I know a lot of us, we've been together long enough. We're not at this table because our church experience has been peaches and cream. I don't think anyone at this table is here because of that. We've all been hurt by the church. We've all been a part of a church that is completely dysfunctional, or we've witnessed really unhealth in the church, or abuse in the church, or misuse of community. Whatever word you use, someone at this table has experienced it. We've seen it. There's no struggle in seeing the brokenness, right? None of us here is going to be like, I just can't think of any way that the church is failing. Like we all have a way. We all can think of a way that community has let us down or actually harmed us, or we've watched people misuse it. We can all name those things, right? I'm sure in your mind right now, you have like 14 of them. So the thing is though, is that church and community are not broken by one ideology or a single behavior or even a single person or group of people. Just like the church is not built by a single ideology or a single group of people or a single person, it's also not broken that way. And it's really, really easy for us to feel that, especially when we've been on the receiving end of hurt, to not realize that we have a hand in that I have a role in breaking the church. Like I have a role in abusing community. Me. And even though I've been on the receiving end of that, I'm sure, someone has been on the receiving end of me. And you have as well. And so one of the ways I like to think about this is that there's that story of Martha and Mary, and Martha's in the kitchen and she's getting everything done. And she's working so hard and Mary's like sitting at Jesus's feet, right? And we all like to say, we normally like to use this message and point to the Marys, and we all want to be Mary, but most of us are Martha in the sense, not that we're all running around working, but that we're all pointing the finger. Well, she's not doing it. It's her problem. Like she's the one messing it up, right? Martha was quick to point the finger, and we do that. We're quick to point the finger. It's like, it's this kind of person. And we all probably have. If I went around the room and asked you, who's the person, not specifically, but like describe the behavior, I'm certain that every single one of us would have something different to name. Corey's like, ask me, I'm ready. We all have something to name because we're all affected by these things differently, right? And what's important to us and what boils our blood is different. And so, like I'm saying, there's not one way to ruin this. There's a lot. And we all do it. And so the problem is not who's doing it. The problem is you're doing it. I'm doing it. And I have no idea because your poop don't smell to you. I mean, that's really it. Like, it doesn't. And you don't see it. To you, it's like, oh, mine's not that bad. It's theirs that's actually. Martha didn't think what she was doing was wrong. She's serving. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Mary's the one doing it wrong. And Mary's like, Martha, you're missing it. I'm doing it right. They were both so sure that they had it figured out. But yet, they were both mad. How does that work? This is the church. This is the church. It's messy. And we all think we're always right. And we all think that someone else is the one that's wrong. And the reality is I'm not charged to be someone else's church, right? Like that's not on me. That's not on me to make sure that Abby is functioning the exact way she needs to function, right? What is on me and what is within my control is that I do my part. And that I know if I'm doing my part and Jeremy's doing his part and Laura's doing her part and we're all doing our part, then it does work, right? So, tearing you down a little bit. I'm going to read through the 9 types, and I'm going to give you just a little snapshot of what this looks like and how they break community, how they So some of us are going to misuse it. Some of us are going to abuse it. Some of us are going to underutilize it. It can look all different ways. This is not all encompassing. So if you know your number and I read your sentence and you're like, I don't know, one of 2 things, I'm going to challenge you. Either one, shrug it off. It's fine. You're a complex person. You cannot be boiled down to one sentence. It does not hurt my feelings. It is okay. Shrug it off. But more likely is that if you know your number and you hear your sentence and it doesn't resonate, you're probably not thinking hard enough about it. So just let it sit, let it simmer. See what God brings to the top. That's what I'm going to challenge you with. Okay. So I'm going to give you 9 types, 9 ways that we break church. So the first type is the number 1. Typically, the number 1 is the need to be good. That's what the number 1 wants to do. It's their motivation. They are going to perfect it. They are going to work very hard to perfect church. We got to do it the right way. We got to figure this out. We got to systemize, strategize, optimize, whatever. I don't need a third one. I didn't have those written down. That just came off right now. They're wanting to perfect church. Okay. Number 2 is the helper. Okay. They're going to do church. They are going to do it and then do it and then do it some more. Number 3 is the achiever. And they are going to win church. Church is something that they can succeed. It is a ladder for them to climb, and they are going to win it. The 4, they are the romanticizer, the individualizer, and they are going to manipulate church. They're going to manipulate the environment. They're going to manipulate the people. They're going to manipulate it. The 5 is the one, I don't remember how people say it differently. They want the knowledge and they're going to solve it. They're going to figure church out. They're going to leave no question, no stone unturned. They're going to find all they can find out about it. The 6 is the loyalist, and they are going to crush it. Not meaning like you crushed it, meaning like they're going to put so much pressure on the church and on community to be something for them that they will crush it. White knuckle it. The 7 is Corey is just the most epitome of a 7 I've ever known, but it's the one they want life and fun and joy, and they're going to consume it. Church is just something for them to consume and be entertained by, take from. The 8, they're a fighter. That can be good and bad, but they will fight. They are strong and mighty, and they will control it. And the 9, the 9s are the peacemakers, and they will fake it. So that's very brief and really little about what that looks like, right? And so we can see all of that. We've probably been on the receiving end of that, where we've seen a 1 come in and it's like they couldn't care less that this is a group of people. It is only a system, right? They're only thinking about what's the right way, what's the right thing to do. And they don't want to hear about the scenario in kids with little Johnny, whose mom is on drugs and he needs special care. Like, nope, that's not the way we do it. We have to do it this way. Right. Or they are wanting to say, well, this is the way so-and-so does it. And that seems to be the right way. We need to do it this way. Right. They just can totally disregard what the actual needs are or what the actual mission is or the vision, because they're zeroed in with blinders that there's a right way to do it. And we have to do it the right way. We need to systemize it and strategize it. And they can completely lose sight of what they're actually doing it for. Right. That's the one. A two, it's the Martha, right? How can helping be bad? It can be. When church is something that we do, it's a job that we have. That's not the intention. And when we come, the two can come and they can serve and they can serve and they can serve and then they can serve some more and they can serve and they can serve and then they can serve some more, and they're going to get burnt out. They're going to get resentful. They're going to start feeling entitled because why aren't we all doing this? What are we all doing? Right? They're looking at the Marys. Why are you sitting down? We got stuff to do. We got people to serve. Right? It's that volunteer that's just like, are you ever at home? Like, right? We all know that person that's running around and they're like, seems to be here when the lights are on, and they're like hauling trash at the end of the day. And you're like, what? Where did you even come from? Like, that's it. They're just going. And the whole time thinking like, this is what I'm here for. Just to bleed myself dry. All for the kingdom. Right? And they're rallying other people to do it. Be like, yeah, this is what it is. We gotta hustle. We got the three. Right? They're all about growth and expansion and these words that sound really awesome. But it starts to feel like, are you just using me to get there? Like, do you just want to mentor me because I'm another jewel in your crown to like get up, to move up? They're church hopping so they can be mentored by this person so that looks good and then they can be there. They want to make it to that conference because that's where all the people are. It's just a show to look good and be better and be more known and be more popular. Something they're winning. 4, they want to manipulate it. They want to create these moments, right? We need the smoke machine and we need like the synthesizer music to just create a moment. Let's all lift our hands, right? They're all about Andy's laughing. He's like, been there. We're creating these moments. You know, we want to make these big youth conferences where we like build it up so the last day we can really hit them with this message that makes them a little bit afraid, but also very passionate. So we can get some decisions, right? We're going to create this moment. It's not manipulative at all, right? We have the 5, they're after knowledge. Like service, how can that be bad, right? Well, it's because I only want to know God, right? I want to know it all. I'm going to be in apologetics. We're going to be in this Bible study. We're going to go deep. We're always going deep. Got to go deep. We got to know. We got to be, what's the word? Bible literate, right? We don't want any illiterate Bible believers in this body, right? You all are laughing because you're like, oh my gosh, we all break church, people. We have these people that are like, no, if you do not know who Charles Spurgeon is, how dare you even come into our body? Look at my commentaries. I have 17. I brought 3 of them with me today to church. Like, you know, they're propping out their Bible, and they're just like, this is my 3rd Bible this year. I've been like Bible journaling and I have it all. I've like highlighted my whole Bible. I know it all. You know, like they're not even a Jew, but they've memorized the Torah. Like they've got it. Like, because they got to know it, and you better know it. Or you're nothing. You're doing it wrong. Why don't you know it? Why don't you know the Bible, like the book of Amos? I know it. Why don't you know it? Why don't you want to be in 12 Bible studies? Right? We got that 6. They're loyal. They will die for the church, right? This is everything to me. They're over there. They're like collecting mentors as they go through. Then they're mentoring like 14 people. They're being mentored by 14 people. They will die for the church. This is their people. This is their body. And that doesn't sound bad, right? Until we are literally, it's a caged bird, right? They're trapped. That we're putting so much pressure, A loyalist can put so much pressure that you have to be everything to me. And I need to be everything for you. And we cannot need anything else. It's just this. So don't fail me. Don't fail me. Don't hurt me. Don't let me down. Don't need someone else because you have to have me, because we are the body and we crush it with our pressure of expectations and of needing it to be validated. It's our safety blanket, right? It's our shield that we put in front of us. I won't need anyone else. If you're with me, you got to be with me. Don't leave me. Then we have that 7. They're for the hype. Woohoo! Right? If the 4 has got the fog machine at the youth conference, the 7 has the t-shirt cannon. Like they are like, woohoo! We're just here for a good time. Who's got it? They're the greeter out at the front. They're the parking attendant. Like they have got it. It's all for them. They're here. They're either that or they're slipping in a ride at the beginning. They're raising their hands for the fun songs and they're leaving a ride at the end because it's just something for them to be a part of, like to consume. It's just enjoyable. They're only here for it to be fun and comfortable. We don't want to do anything we don't want to do. So they're not doing anything hard, right? We're not serving in kids. That's not me. You got to find someone else for that. I don't want to do it. Doesn't feel good. They're going to jet out after the message because they don't want to sit through the invitation part. Like I'm not here for that, right? They're only here for the parts that they want, the good parts, the fun parts. They're out. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. Be here for the good time, not here for a long time. 7. Then the 8, we got that fighter, right? They just want to do good things, right? They're like, yeah, let's go. We should be a part of homeless ministry, and we should be doing this, and we should be fighting for justice. And why aren't we saying more about Black Lives Matter? And why aren't we doing that? Like, whatever it is, maybe not some of your churches. I was in Portland when all this was happening, so that was definitely where I was. But it's always, why aren't we doing more? Why aren't we getting after this? Why aren't we thinking about them? Why aren't we starting this ministry? That's all good stuff, right? Except, are we wanting to do any of that? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? And then they're bullying people into it. We should be doing this. We're failing. Why aren't we doing this? It's a shame. It's a control. Well, I'm going to do it. We just need to do it. You just be quiet. We're going to do this. This is what we're doing. This is what we have to do. This is how we do it. Right? We're breaking it. And then that 9, the harmony. Again, how could that be bad? How could unity in the church be wrong? Well, because we fake it most of the time. Because it's not real. Because we look at somebody and we say, hi, how are you? Blessed by you. And then in our minds or out loud, we're turning around. We're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe them. And it's not real. We have all these feelings and all these thoughts and all these opinions. And on the outside, we're all about the unity, right? We're for it. We're building each other up. But it's really just a facade because behind the door, or even just wait 3 seconds, it's not real. We actually don't care about understanding that person or seeking unity. We're really just wanting to make sure on the outside it looks good. But on the inside, it's not real. It's cruel. So are we feeling low? Told you guys I'm going to break you down. Every single one of us has a part in this. We all have the power and the capacity and have probably done it before of breaking community and hurting the church. We all can do it. So now the goal, what we're going to want to, I know every single one of you right now, you're probably resonating with one of those things, maybe multiple, and that's okay. I am. The goal right now, you're probably like, okay, I'm just never going to do that anymore. I'm just resolving right now. I will never do that. How many of you has that ever worked? Just like, I just resolved to not do something one day and then I never did again. That's never worked for me. That's why New Year's resolutions we joke about them because you can't just resolve not to do something. And the truth is, I don't want you to resolve not to do these things. Okay? This is where I'm going to build you back up. Because the truth is while we all have the capacity for this to harm and hurt and abuse and misuse, we also have such a capacity, and it's what we were created for, to build up and to create and to enjoy and to encourage. We all have that. And so I don't need you to run from this at all. Because the truth is, let's go back through. I'm going to fly through this. We need a one. We need somebody on the team who's going to strategize a system. This does not need to be chaos. We don't need to be making it up as we go, right? There is value in thinking about how to do something in a good way that's right, that benefits the most people, right? That's a good thing. We need that. So the one does not need to just never, ever care about what's good and what's right. Someone has to. We need that. It's good. The two, if no one served, nothing would happen. Like if twos did not exist, nothing would ever happen. We need people who desire to serve, who are filled up by being helpful, who want to do the work that no one else wants to do. That is a good and beautiful thing. It is a gift to the world. We need it. We need somebody who cares about growth and who cares about multiplication and who wants to see this get bigger and better. It doesn't have to always look the way we think it should, but that's not a bad thing. To want something to be known for something, to want to build a reputation, to want to gather a crowd, to want it to spread to more people. That's a beautiful thing. We should want people that create a moment. While we are thankful to sit in this room that's stark white, it's also nice to have some mood lighting sometimes, and we do. Moments are not bad. Thinking about how there's my timer. Thinking about how things affect people and how they will feel in a space, that's a good thing. Someone needs to be thinking about that. Someone needs to care about what the Bible actually says. Like we need people who care, who know and study the word and want to know it. Who want to teach it, who want other people to know and to actually know what it actually says and what's the actual context. We need someone whose shelf has 17 commentaries, right? We need that. Someone needs to do that. We need people that are willing to die for the church, who will stand by and stand up for and go like, I will not leave you. Like we need those loyal people that will make these people their people and will championing them and will devote themselves to them. That is a good thing. It's beautiful. We need people that can bring a little joy into the world. It does not need to be serious all the time. We need people that can make us laugh. That's why Jesus says, like, let the children come. Like, we need the fun and the wild and the crazy. It needs to be a little chaotic sometimes. We need that. We need people that are going to fight for justice, that are going to lead us to action. So we don't all are not just sitting around thinking or singing, or that we're doing, that we're engaging in the community, that we're fighting for what actually is important. And we're making it happen, not just talking about it. They take the N word to indeed. We need that. And we need people who are fighting for harmony, who are sometimes willing to keep their mouths shut because they're going to pursue unity over pursuing being right. We need that. So the goal here is not that you hear all these things and you're like, well, I'm broken, or I'm not valuable, or I need to stop being who I am. No. We're going to find the third way, because that's what Jesus invites us to, that narrow road. I hate it. It's my least favorite thing. Because what we want to do is either swing to this side where we're like, well, this is just the way I am. I'm going to break some people, and some people are going to like me. Some people are going to hate me. Whatever, figure it out. That's on them. We're going to swing this side where we are hyper paralyzed, that we are fundamentally broken and we're never going to be able to add value. We have to constantly be reining ourselves in. Neither of those are the way of Jesus. The way of Jesus is this third and narrow way where we find a way to hold both. Because the temptation is that we're going to abuse it, misuse it, torture it. But the invitation is that we can hold that. And the way to hold that rightly, right? Because if a two can build up the church through serving and can also tear it down through serving, we hold that rightly by holding something else. And this is where the Enneagram gets real beautiful, because it creates in itself a pathway to growth. So I'm going to invite you all in to this pathway. I'm going to read Romans 12, 9 through 21. And this is Paul talking to the Romans. And it's really this beautiful passage about relationships. And there is an invitation to each of us here that is going to, because the idea is in order to hold this rightly, we're going to have to put ourselves to pick up a cross, to suffer with Christ, and do something that feels stretching. Do something that feels not quite what we want to do. Because I'm going to read this passage, and I bet you while I read it, there's going to be some wins in your spirit. You're going to read this and be like, oh, I do that. That's me. That's my part. Because we all do that. We have those parts that we shine, and we know, like, this is my sweet spot. I like to be here. And in order to hold this part rightly and not harm people, we have to couple it with our other hand of holding something that stretches us, that pushes us a little farther than we want to go, so that we're made more like Christ. So I'm going to read this passage. I'm reading it in the TPT version, which is the Passion Translation. If you have thoughts about that, I don't care. Because I love this and I love the way it talks about this. So it's going to probably read a lot differently than whatever you're reading it from. But I'm going to read all 9 through the end of the chapter. And then I'm going to give each of you a challenge to hold your part rightly. And then we'll be done. Starting in verse 9. Let the inner movement of your heart always be to love one another and never play the role of an actor wearing a mask. Despise evil and embrace everything that is good and virtuous. Be devoted to tenderly loving your fellow believers as members of one family. Try to outdo yourselves in respect and honor of one another. Be enthusiastic to serve the Lord, keeping your passion toward him boiling hot. Radiate with the glow of the Holy Spirit and let him fill you with excitement as you serve him. Let this hope burst forth within you, releasing a continual joy. Don't give up in a time of trouble, but commune with God at all times. Take a constant interest in the needs of God's beloved people and respond by helping them. And eagerly welcome people as guests into your home. Speak blessing, not cursing, over those who reject and persecute you. Celebrate with those who celebrate and weep with those who grieve. Live happily together in a spirit of harmony and be as mindful of another's worth as you are of your own. Don't live with a lofty mindset thinking that you're too important to serve others, but be willing to do menial tasks and identify with those who are humble-minded. Don't be smug or even think for a moment that you know it all. Never hold a grudge or try to get even, but plan your life around the noblest way to benefit others. Do your best to live as everybody's friend. Beloved, don't be obsessed with taking revenge, but leave that to God's righteous justice. For the scriptures say, vengeance is mine and I will repay, says the Lord. And if your enemy is hungry, buy him lunch. Win him over with kindness. For your surprising generosity will awaken his conscience and God will reward you with favor. Never let evil defeat you, but defeat evil with good. So there's so much goodness in there. And that's really the picture of what community is supposed to be. That's the picture of church. And it's a little bit of everything. And it's all of us doing that part. And so I'm going to invite everyone into a challenge. This challenge is not the opposite of what you are. That's not meant to be the purpose, right? It is going to be something that's adjacent. And there's a whole reasoning for that. It is very complicated. But if you ever want to talk about it, I can. It's an Enneagram growth path. But I'm going to just give you your challenge. I hope that you will take it and think of ways this week of how you can hold that and step into that and lean into that, because it is going to feel stretching and it is going to challenge, but it's so that you can hold both of those things rightly so that we can build up the church instead of tearing it down. So for the one, they are going to, their verse is verse 15. To celebrate with those who celebrate and weep with those who grieve. So for the ones in the room, they're challenged to hold that systems and strategizing and getting it right is to take time intentionally to celebrate with people and weep with people and be present in those moments. For the two, their verse is verse 19. The beloved to not be obsessed with taking revenge, but leave that to God's righteous justice. So their challenge is going to be to not do anything, to leave it to God to take care of it. And that's going to be a challenge because they are doers. So they're going to be challenged to leave it. The 3 is verse 16. And that is the first part of it. To live happily in a spirit of harmony and be as mindful of another's worth as they are of their own. To pursue that harmony instead of maybe trying to just move forward. For the 4, it's verse 13. To take a constant interest in the needs of God's people and respond by helping them. It's to actually meet a physical need that's standing right in front of them rather than the perceived need that they might want to just conjure up. For the 5, that knower, it's verse 11. To be enthusiastic to serve the Lord, keeping your passion toward him boiling hot. Those knowers would not normally be characterized by their boiling hot passion. And so that is really the challenge, is to engage action instead of just their brains. The number 6, it's verse 10. To try to outdo yourselves in respect and honor of one another. To pursue actually calling out things in other people and championing things in other people, instead of wanting to simply just be protected by other people. The 7 is the second part of verse 16. Don't live with a lofty mindset thinking that you are too important to serve others, but be willing to do the menial tasks and identify with those who are humble-minded. To do the things that are menial and not fun. That's going to be the challenge for the 7. The 8, that fighter, is going to be in verse 12. To let this hope burst forth with you, releasing a continual joy. And to not give up in times of trouble, but communing with God at all times. That sitting and communing with God at all times, that is like the key, is to be willing to commute, like to just be rather than fight and do. And that 9 is verse 13, right at the end. And eagerly welcome people as guests into your home. To actually see people, invite them in, bring them close. That's going to be how we combat that tendency to fake it. So in all of this is our power. It's our way forward. We all have these tendencies to build up, and these natural ways that we are meant to be used, these hands and feet, as it goes on in this earlier part of this chapter of body, but we also have the capacity to break it down. And there is a way forward. There is power to do this in the right way. We're not destined to fail. But it is going to be stretching, and it is going to be hard, and it does take all of us, because the thing is I don't know. My challenge as a 4 was to serve and help, right? That's not in me naturally. But what can I do? I can go find a helper, right? I can go watch as someone helps who I know is a 2, who I know is a servant, who I know will like to get in there, and I can watch them. I can ask for them to help me learn how to do that. Do you see where this then becomes not, oh, well, I'll never be that. She's not what I am. But it then becomes, I can join in with her to learn and to grow. And it becomes that. So then we're all looking not at the other person and wishing that we had what they'd had, or feeling like we're failing, or that it's inherently broken. But it's then to be like, I need what you have. Can you help me learn how to do that? And I'm going to encourage you as you do it. Because I don't have to be all things to all people. That's not what we're here for. But it is being able to acknowledge what you aren't and what you are, and knowing when you need to tap into other parts of the body to help. Right? It's a buddy finger. If you've ever broken your hand. So Corey's going to read us a verse to end us. Because like I said, this is the third way. It's not this or that. It's this tiny narrow way where we get to hold both. And it's hard. Where church is equally just as messy as it is as wonderful. Where it's harmful and hopeful. Where we're frustrated and passionate and excited. Like all of those things can exist all at the same time because of Jesus. And so we're going to hold both, but it's a hard road to walk. But we can walk it together, and we can hold each other up and guide each other along and bring each other back in when we veer off course. So he's going to read this passage to close us.
This is Jeremiah writing to specifically prophets and the priests and the people of Israel. Pulls from a little thing that they would recite at the synagogue. It says, "Stand by the roads and look and ask for the ancient paths where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls." I'll read it one more time. "Stand by the roads and look and ask for the ancient paths where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls."
It's good. Let's pray real quick. Jesus, we're here and we're yours. We want to embody the tension in the middle of being open and honest about the heartache and the headaches that we have or been through, all those things, but also the hopeful and the beautiful things. We want to hold both too. And God, we know that swinging the pendulum is not growth. So we want to be the kinds of people who can be healthy and whole and continue down a new way of being human. And we know that you've taught us this. And so we ask that you help us. I pray these things in your name. Amen. All right, y'all. Just give you guys a quick snapshot of the next bit of time. Thursday, we'll do dinner. We were talking about maybe doing something like at a park. So on Thursday, we'll probably do something out and about. Try to enjoy some of the weather. Hopefully it's not blistering hot like it has been. But that'll be fun. So we'll do something at a park on Thursday night, dinner out and about. So for the next little bit, foreseeable future, we're switching up gears. So next week, well, we're going to spend some time in the Beatitudes. So we'll take each week, take a new Beatitude. So it'll be about 8 weeks. We'll kick that off in 2 weeks. Okay. Next week, what we're doing is I'm going to be doing an interview with a guy named Jason Adam Miller. He's a pastor in South Bend, Indiana. And their church, South Bend City Church, has just been a big help for me when it comes to like what's it mean to be the church in this day and age. And specifically, Jason's been a big help for me. Whenever we started Mosaic, he was one of the guys that just kind of spoke into it and helped shape a lot of it. And so anyways, I'm interviewing him this week, and he's going to kick off the Beatitudes for us and kick off what we're doing after that. So we're going to do the Beatitudes, and then we're going to loosely go through the Sermon on the Mount. And so for the next foreseeable future, we'll be doing Beatitudes and Sermon on the Mount. The reason we're doing Beatitudes first is because they're incredible, but also, roundabout way, Jason wrote a book about the Beatitudes, and it's just been doing a number on me, and it's absolutely incredible. And I have a weird relationship with Christian books. I'm sure you guys do too. And so I've kind of shelved a lot of them for a while. And so this is one of the first ones I've picked up in a long time, and it's just doing something to me. And so we were doing Sermon on the Mount, and then started reading this book, and then listening to him talk through it, and it was just working on me. And so that's what we kind of pushed it out some. So next week, I'm going to be showing that interview. So this week, I'm interviewing him, talking about the book and the Beatitudes and Sermon on the Mount stuff. Let him kind of kick that off for us. And then the following week, we'll start with the first Beatitude. We'll do that for 8 weeks, and then we'll loosely go through the Sermon on the Mount for a while. Sound cool? Great. We talk about, like, that's one of our values is being people who step into the pathway of healing. Like, that's our second value is, like, we think that who you're becoming says a lot more than what you're believing. And the Sermon on the Mount has had a lot of injustice done to it. Like a lot of times we write it off and say like, we're not actually supposed to follow this and you can't follow this and all that stuff. We have our Rabbi Jesus who's teaching us a way of being human. And as you step into it, you think the John 10 passage of like, this is life and life to the full actually. And so we think that these teachings of Jesus are things that we actually can participate in. And as we participate in them, I think we find life and life to the full. So we're kind of focusing on that for a while. If you want to get the book, you can. It's called When the World Breaks. Feel free to order it. It's not a promo. I guess it is. So you can get the book. We'll be teaching through it and stuff like that. And he actually has like a discussion guide and videos and stuff. So it might just go super old school and do a Bible study. Let's just do it. We'll do a men's group, women's group.
Going to Hardee's.
We're going to Hardee's. Yeah, we'll do a prayer breakfast. Do the whole shebang. So yeah, that's all I got. Does anybody else have anything need to say? newsworthy, noteworthy? Cool. I'm really excited about doing this because, you know, a lot of times for the last 2 years, what we've done is more topically work through stuff. So it's really cool just to sit in the text for a while and just one beatitude at a time. So we're doing that and then Sermon on the Mount, and I'm just really excited about doing that. So if you can be here next week, Jason's incredible, and him kicking off the stuff for us is going to be really, really beautiful. So if you can't be here, I'm going to record it and save it, and we can watch it. So that's all I got. See you guys Thursday and or Sunday. So cheers.